I'm back to take you all to another horror movie. Today, we continue with the classic horror film, 0.0. The story takes place in a remote village. 4 years ago, a woman hanged herself in her house, dying a truly tragic death. As a result, her spirit still lingers in that room. Every night, terrifying things would happen. So, the villagers invited a female shaman to perform an exorcism. The sound of cymbals and drums echoed loudly, and her movements were as swift and powerful as a pouncing tiger. Just then, the door to the room creaked open. The shaman instructed everyone to wait outside while she went in to face it alone. But as it turned out, this shaman was both weak and unskilled, and she was brutally murdered on the spot by the female ghost. Her terrified screams immediately caught the attention of the villagers. Hearing this, they opened the door to check and saw the shaman crawling on the ceiling, her eyes bloodshot, before dying in a terribly contorted position. From then on, this place became a famous haunted house, a destination for paranormal events. 4 years later, a paranormal research group called 0.0 MHz decides to visit the haunted house to investigate. They want to use scientific methods to explain supernatural phenomena. The female lead, So-hee, and Sang-yob are new members of the group. The others are Tae-soo and Han-seok. Tae-soo explains the location they are about to visit, the very haunted house from the film's opening. Legend has it that a mentally ill woman hanged herself in that house. When her body was discovered, it was severely decomposed, with her neck and body completely separated, her head dangling from the rope. Since then, the house has been haunted. Even the shaman who came to perform an exorcism was killed. But the group members don't believe it, as it's all just information found online with no scientific explanation. Then, Yoon-jung explains the origin of the group's name, 0.0 MHz. Whenever a person has an out-of-body experience, the frequency at which the brain can see ghosts is 0.0 MHz, making it the frequency that can summon spirits. Afterwards, the 5 of them pack their bags. The next morning, they set off for the haunted house. On the way, Yoon-jung and Tae-soo are in the back, acting all lovey-dovey. It turns out they're a couple, but the one driving Han-seok secretly has a crush on Yoon-jung. Seeing this scene makes his heart ache with unease. Soon, they arrive at the village entrance. The first thing they do is stop at a store to buy some food. The other 4 go in first, while So-hee stays outside to admire the view. She sees a girl walking slowly past her, but strangely, the girl has no shadow, which means she's looking at a wandering ghost. Seeing this, So-hee isn't scared at all. Instead, she seems very calm. It turns out So-hee's family has been shamans for generations. So since birth, she has had the third eye, allowing her to see spirits. Inside the store, the other 4 are chatting away and happen to mention the haunted house. The shop owner hears this, and his expression immediately changes. He angrily shouts at them not to be foolish enough to go there, as it's the epicenter of strange events. Are you people casually eating and having fun in a haunted house? Even the ghosts would be angry. It's disrespectful to the deceased, and you'll be punished by the heavens for it. However, the group completely ignores the owner's words, quickly pays, and leaves the store. Soon, they arrive at the dilapidated, abandoned house, deep in a remote mountain gorge with no one else around. The house has been empty for a long time, so weeds are overgrown, and everything is in ruins. Seeing this scene, everyone is excited and curious. It seems to be exactly as the online rumors described. They immediately split up and start investigating the surrounding area. At this moment, So-hee faintly sees the figure of the female ghost. She sees it hanging from the beam right above the entrance, but doesn't say anything to the others, knowing they wouldn't believe her even if she told them. Elsewhere, the others are exploring different rooms. Yoon-jung discovers a secret passage under a pot in the kitchen. Meanwhile, Tae-soo uses 2 dowsing rods and accidentally discovers that the house is built on an underground water vein. An underground water vein is a flow of water or energy beneath the ground. In films, it often symbolizes an imbalance of yin and yang and is a bad omen. Here, it also hints that the group is about to encounter something truly terrible. Just then, Han-seok approaches a large jar, thinking there must be something valuable inside that he could sell for a hefty profit. But when he opens it, it's just full of soy sauce brewed in 1982. Han-seok stares at the long fermented liquid and smirks, looking very amused. Suddenly, a pig's head floats to the surface, making him jump in shock. In another area, So-hee is led by a mysterious force into the forest. She sees a protective barrier made of rope surrounding the area. A dizzy spell suddenly hits her, making her head spin, and she freezes on the spot. A woman's moans echo in her ears, then a loud bang brings everything back to normal. So-hee looks ahead, and her grandmother's spirit suddenly appears before her. She grabs So-hee's shoulders as if trying to warn her about something. Afterwards, So-hee returns to the dilapidated house. By now, everyone is happily enjoying a barbecue. But after what she just experienced, So-hee has no mood to join them. She looks utterly exhausted, the feeling of helplessness clear on her face. Just then, Tae-soo starts talking about the plan for the night. They intend to perform a summoning ritual to call upon the spirits of the dead. First, the body will enter a sleep-like state while the consciousness remains awake. Then, they'll wait for the frequency to reach 0.00 MHz, and the spirit will appear. The person chosen for the experiment is the super-duper universally beautiful Yoon Jung. As soon as Tae-soo finishes, So-hee immediately speaks up, questioning if they really need to do this ritual. But besides Sang-yob, everyone else laughs at So-hee, mocking her for being a coward who doesn't dare to try. They even tell her to go sit at the kids' table. Frustrated, So-hee looks at them and says, "Go ahead and play. Have fun. A time will come when you'll all be crying." Time passes quickly, and night falls. The group has finished all preparations, setting up lights and equipment. Then, Yoon Jung puts on a headset that measures brainwaves. Han Seok and the others go to the spot where the hanging occurred and prepare to perform the summoning ritual. Tae-soo is outside, monitoring the brainwave frequencies. They also have to prepare 2 identical dolls, coarse salt and cow liver. First, they place the cow liver in a basin of water. Then, they tie a rope around one doll's neck and hang it from the beam, recreating the scene of the woman's suicide to provoke the spirit to appear. The other doll will serve as a vessel for the spirit. They place Yoon Jung's fingernail inside this doll's stomach. Next, they stick a silver needle into the doll's chest and dip it into the basin with the cow liver. The coarse salt is sprinkled around Yoon Jung to prevent the spirit from escaping. Everything is ready. The group begins to chant the incantation to summon the spirit. Suddenly, Yoon Jung's body convulses, and she screams, causing everyone to panic and rush to help her up. Yoon Jung immediately returns to normal, then bursts out laughing and says, "Wasn't my acting great?" Ha ha. It turns out it was just a prank by Yoon Jung. Her brainwaves remain steady at 8.6 MHz. With no other choice, they try the ritual again. But still, nothing happens. They can only wait patiently. While waiting, Tae-soo gets the idea to have some adult time with Yoon Jung. To avoid being disturbed, he even kicks Han Seok and Sang-yob out. They turn and leave, letting him and Yoon Jung continue their spelling lesson. We don't need to watch this part. We can skip it. Outside, Han Seok goes to relieve himself when suddenly a crow wearing a straw hat appears in front of him, startling him so much he loses the urge to pee. The crow seems to notice it's being watched and immediately flies away, making Han Seok very curious. He runs after the crow, eventually chasing it to the kitchen area that Yoon Jung had checked earlier in the day. The crow flies into the secret tunnel and vanishes without a trace. Finding nothing unusual, Han Seok returns to the computer to check on things, but the images he sees are the last thing he wants to see. The girl he secretly loves is with Tae-soo, and his heart feels shattered, like a dark sky after a rainstorm. Tears well up in his eyes. Over with Sang-yob, So-hee's sensitivity to spirits allows her to feel something very wrong, making her curl up in fear. Sang-yob comes over to comfort her. He tells her not to worry, because he's there for her. So-hee whispers, "Can you hear that? It's here, right outside the door." A loud thunderclap echoes, and suddenly a pair of pale white hands clamp over So-hee's mouth. A voice tells her to be quiet because it is right outside the door. It's the spirit of her grandmother. Sensing So-hee was in danger, she appeared to protect her. The grandmother angrily scolds the female ghost, ordering it to leave and not harm her granddaughter. At that moment, a bolt of lightning streaks across the sky, and the silhouette of a horrifying face appears outside the door. Then, the space becomes quiet again. Sang-yob looks around in confusion, not understanding what just happened or why So-hee was so terrified. Meanwhile, Han Seok, outside, discovers something horrifying. Yoon Jung's brain signal is gradually fading. The frequency drops to 0.0 MHz. Suddenly, Yoon Jung's eyes snap open, and she walks out of the room in a very strange manner. No matter how much Han Seok calls her, she doesn't respond. Seeing that something is wrong, Han Seok quickly tries to stop her. Yoon Jung opens her stark white eyes, scaring Han Seok so much he jolts awake. He quickly looks around the room, but finds that Yoon-jung has disappeared, and only Tae-soo is left sleeping soundly on the floor. This proves that the dream was not entirely a hallucination. Realizing Yoon-jung is gone, Tae-soo immediately calls everyone to help find her. Sang-yeob hears this and is about to go with them, but So-hee grabs his hand to stop him. She uses the last of her strength to tell Sang-yeob not to go outside under any circumstances, and then she faints. Meanwhile, Tae-soo and Han-seok have a hard time but finally find Yoon-jung in the kitchen. But she is just standing there, motionless. Suddenly, Yoon-jung turns her head to look at the two of them, the corners of her mouth twitching as if begging for help. The two men rush to support her, but Yoon-jung immediately loses control and falls face first onto the floor, as if a mysterious force is dragging her into the tunnel. The two men quickly try to stop it, but the force is too strong. Even two grown men can't fight it. A pair of red eyes appears, and Yoon-jung is brutally dragged inside. The two men witness it all and immediately collapse to the ground. Look at these two cowards. When there were no ghosts, they wanted to see one. And now that they see a real one, they can't handle it. Afterwards, the two go to find Sang-yeob and So-hee. At this point, So-hee's body is soaked in sweat, and she has completely fainted. Han-seok tries to call the police, but as expected, his phone has no signal. He might as well have thrown the old phone away and bought a new one. After some thought, Tae-soo decides they should leave first, wait for morning, and then get help. He tells Han-seok to pack their things and Sang-yeob to carry So-hee to the car first, while he tries to figure out a way to save Yoon-jung. While packing, Han-seok discovers something terrifying. The head of the doll that was hanging from the beam has been ripped off, and its body has fallen to the ground, exactly how the female ghost died. Even the doll soaking in the water has had its head and body separated. Suddenly, the radio next to him emits a sound that sounds like Yoon-jung crying for help. At the same time, Tae-soo enters the house with a large rock. Yoon-jung's voice gradually changes. She coldly sneers and tells them, "You're all dead for sure, haha." Tae-soo can't take it anymore and smashes the radio with the rock. At that moment, Yoon-jung temporarily regains consciousness in the tunnel. Tae-soo leans down to the floor and shouts that if Yoon-jung can hear him, she should knock on the floor. And sure enough, a knock responds. After taking So-hee to the car, Sang-yeob returns, and together with Tae-soo, lifts the rock to prepare to smash the floor and save Yoon-jung. After countless efforts, they finally break through the floor. At the same time, the female ghost transforms into long hair and wraps it tightly around Yoon-jung. At that critical moment, Tae-soo spots Yoon-jung. The two of them work together to pull her out. Seeing that Yoon-jung is still breathing, Tae-soo breathes a sigh of relief. They don't have time to think, as the place is still full of unknown dangers, so the two quickly carry Yoon-jung back to the car, ready to leave this hellish place. But just as they are about to leave, So-hee softly asks, "Where's the doll?" They have to burn it. If they don't, no one can leave. Seeing So-hee's insistence, Han-seok reluctantly agrees. He risks going back into the house to prepare to burn the doll in his hand. But this guy, being stubborn, thinks everyone is just bossing him around. So he decides not to burn the doll, and instead throws it into the dark hole under the floor. After all, only he knows, so no one will find out what happened. After returning to the car, Han-seok lies, saying he burned the doll and they can go now. The others don't suspect a thing and quickly leave the bizarre place. They take Yoon-jung to the hospital. After an examination, she has no serious injuries, just a few scratches on her body. But is that really the case? So-hee stands beside her, staring intently at Yoon-jung as if she has sensed something strange. While Yoon-jung is being treated, the others rent a nearby hotel to rest. But Han-seok doesn't rest at all. Instead, he opens the video recording of Yoon-jung and Tae-soo's intimate moment and the scene where Yoon-jung was dragged into the tunnel to rewatch it. He still thinks it was all just an act, but he's amazed at how realistic Yoon-jung's acting was. He then calls a producer and says that this time the video has to be paid more because the content is beyond human imagination. If they don't increase the price, he'll sell the footage to another film crew. It's your call. It turns out Han-seok's real purpose for the expedition was to film paranormal footage to sell at a high price and make an illicit profit. Afterwards, Han-seok goes to the hospital to visit Yoon-jung. After a long night of fighting, Tae-soo is exhausted. Seeing his friend's condition, Han-seok tells Tae-soo to go get something to eat first, and he'll watch over Yoon-jung. Tae-soo is happy to hear this and says, "You're a really good friend, looking out for me." Tae-soo leaves the room without a second thought. But as soon as he's gone, Han-seok reveals his true colors. He finally has a chance to touch the person he's secretly loved for so long. He places his hand on Yoon-jung to express his feelings. In a moment of lost control, he even kisses her on the lips. But as he's kissing her, Yoon-jung's eyes open. A long stream of hair immediately grows out of her mouth, and the female ghost wraps it tightly around Han Seok's head, finishing him off in one move. Elsewhere, Sang-yeob and So-hee are eating when they receive a call from Tae-soo. He tells them Yoon-jung is awake and to come quickly. After entering the hospital room, Yoon-jung is as quiet as usual, with no strange signs. At this point, they remember they haven't seen Han Seok. Calls to his phone go unanswered. With no other choice, they can only return to the hotel first and look for Han Seok the next day. Yoon-jung and Tae-soo share a room, about to celebrate their survival. Yoon-jung is laughing and joking happily. Meanwhile, as So-hee is washing her face, she suddenly notices several bruises on her wrist. It's then she realizes something is wrong. The female ghost hasn't disappeared. It's still following them. Sensing something is amiss, she quickly gets Han Seok's room key from the front desk and asks to check the surveillance footage from the previous night. And sure enough, she discovers something strange. The doll hanging from the ceiling suddenly shakes violently, and then its head and body separate and fall to the floor. At the same moment, Yoon-jung opens her mouth wide, and the female ghost rushes straight into her body. Just then, Sang-yeob, who has just returned from shopping, gets a call from Yoon-jung. She tells him to come to her room immediately, then hangs up. Sang-yeob has no idea what's going on. But Tae-soo suddenly rushes out of the hotel, his face filled with panic, and speeds off in his car. Sang-yeob sees this and is very confused. Did they have a fight? With this question in mind, Sang-yeob goes to Yoon-jung's room. She's wearing a bright red outfit and sitting upright on the bed. Sang-yeob slowly approaches and softly calls her name, Yoon-jung. At that moment, she springs up, her eyes stark white, and lunges at Sang-yeob, scaring him stiff. The female ghost has completely taken over Yoon-jung's body and immediately casts an illusion on Sang-yeob. Before his eyes appears the image of a young boy with a bloody head. It's Sang-yeob's older brother. Seeing this, Sang-yeob can't hold back his tears. It turns out that when he was young, he witnessed his brother being hit in the head by a hard object and falling into a coma. But because he was so scared, Sang-yeob thought his brother was dead and ran away from the scene, causing his brother to miss the critical window for medical treatment, leading to his tragic death. These painful memories constantly swirl in his head, making him feel immense guilt and always blaming himself. His brother gently strokes Sang-yeob's head and says, "Don't cry anymore. Come with me, brother. Let's return to our happy world." Sang-yeob completely loses his senses and prepares to hang himself to be reunited with his brother. Fortunately, So-hee appears just in time and saves Sang-yeob from his fate. At the same time, the female ghost leaves Yoon-jung's body, causing her to immediately collapse, unconscious. On the other side, Tae-soo, who had just driven off, saw Yoon-jung possessed by the ghost, which is why he was so scared and chose to abandon her. He kept screaming, I'm sorry! It's not my fault." At this point, the car's speed increases, and Tae-soo's emotions become more and more agitated, causing him to completely lose control. But as the car is speeding along, the female ghost suddenly appears with a bald face, terrifying Tae-soo so much that he crashes the car into the roadside and dies on impact. Back with Sang-yeob, after waking up, he tells So-hee about the illusion he saw. So-hee tells him that Yoon-jung's body has been possessed by the female ghost. Since leaving the haunted house, the ghost has been relentlessly toying with them. Hearing this, Sang-yeob immediately panics. "Oh, wait, where's Han Seok? He's been missing all day. Where did he go?" So-hee quickly takes out her phone to call Han Seok, but the phone is answered by a hotel employee. Han Seok's body has been lifeless in the hotel swimming pool for a long time. Upon receiving the terrible news, So-hee and Sang-yeob rush over. Seeing Han Seok's tragic state, they realize he has been dead for a very long time. Suddenly, the phone rings. It's the police, calling to report that they found Tae-soo's body by the road and asking them to come and identify him. After waking up, Yoon-jung sees the tragic fate of her two friends. She is in extreme pain and cannot accept this reality. So-hee comforts Yoon-jung, saying that the female ghost inside her body caused this, not her. Hearing this, Yoon-jung angrily screams, "Not my fault? If it weren't for me, they wouldn't be dead. If the ghost appears again, what are you two going to do? It's better to just run away now." As she finishes speaking, Sang-yob pulls down his collar to reveal bruises on his neck, and So-hee also rolls up her sleeve to show the bruises on her arm. So-hee tells her, "I was born into a family of exorcist shamans. If we are bitten by a demon, its soul will be torn apart. Even if we run, we can't escape. The only way is to go back to that haunted house and perform the ritual again to completely destroy the female ghost." They couldn't delay any longer, so they immediately returned to the haunted house. Upon arrival, Yoon-jung and Sang-yob go inside first to prepare the ritual, while So-hee turns to look at a corner where her grandmother's spirit suddenly appears. Despite coming from a family of shamans, this is So-hee's first time facing a female ghost. No one knows if tomorrow or disaster will come first, so she begs her grandmother to help her. Then, So-hee enters the house and begins to perform the ritual. Just like before, Yoon-jung lies on the ground while So-hee continuously chants incantations. The space around them begins to shake violently. The grandmother also appears beside her to help So-hee complete the ritual. The more she chants, the weaker Yoon-jung's brainwaves become, and finally, the room returns to silence. But the female ghost hasn't appeared. It's still hiding inside Yoon-jung's body and cannot be drawn out by normal means. Therefore, the grandmother is forced to possess So-hee's body to perform the spell. She continuously whistles, calling for the female ghost to appear, but it refuses to show itself. If that's how it is, then no more being polite. So-hee grabs the doll beside her, throws it into the fire, and burns it. The female ghost immediately feels the pain and finally reveals a weakness. So-hee advises the ghost to leave Yoon-jung's body and stop causing trouble, because every party has its limits. But the ghost refuses to listen, saying it has suffered too much injustice and must slaughter everyone here to be satisfied. It then questions what right she has to interfere in its business. "You'd better not bother me." Hearing this, So-hee immediately becomes enraged. "You refused my kindness, so now you'll face my wrath." She picks up a willow branch and whips the ghost, causing it to both scream in pain and laugh maniacally. After countless blows, it can't take it anymore and suddenly throws itself against the wall. Yoon-jung immediately wakes up, begging So-hee for mercy. But So-hee knows it's just a trick by the ghost. She doesn't hesitate and continues to swing the whip. After many blows, So-hee is also exhausted. Her head spins, and she falls to the ground. Perhaps her grandmother's spirit within her is too old and no longer has the strength to continue. At the same time, Yoon-jung vomits a large amount of black blood and faints. So-hee returns to normal. Suddenly, all the candles in the room go out, plunging the room into darkness. So-hee quickly turns on her flashlight to check, but as soon as the light hits, Yoon-jung is sitting on the floor, her head rotating 360 degrees to look at So-hee, her entire face twisted and distorted. So-hee tries to run over to fix Yoon-jung's head, but can do nothing but watch the ghost mock her. Sang-yob, outside, witnesses everything but remembers So-hee's instruction not to enter the room no matter what happens, so he can only wait in desperation. Suddenly, he hears his brother's voice coming from inside the room. Sang-yob is immediately mesmerized. He opens the door and sees So-hee strangling his brother. Sang-yob immediately rushes forward, tackles So-hee and squeezes her neck tightly. So-hee struggles to call out to Sang-yob to wake up and fight the ghost's illusion. Luckily, Sang-yob finally regains his senses and lets go of So-hee. But by now it's too late. The female ghost crawls out of Yoon-jung's mouth, revealing its true form. It's a flying head with blazing red eyes and long, flowing hair. It lunges to attack them, causing the three of them to panic and run towards the door. But Sang-yob is a step too slow. He is grabbed by the ankle by the ghost's hair and pulled into the secret passage. In that most dangerous moment, Sang-yob manages to pick up the doll from the ground. So he can only watch in horror as Sang-yob is dragged into the darkness. The ghost uses its hair to stab straight into Sang-yob's ear. Sang-yob takes a lighter from his pocket and burns the doll to save himself. After everything falls silent, So-hee calls Sang-yob's name but gets no response. Suddenly a hand rests on So-hee's shoulder. It turns out to be Sang-yob, who has cheated death and escaped through another exit. The two are so relieved they cry, hugging each other tightly. The three of them finally escape the haunted house and sever all ties with the female ghost. Some time passes. So-hee and Sang-yob meet again in a coffee shop. After that near-death experience, their bond has grown stronger, and they have officially become a couple. Sang-yob has turned their expedition story into a novel, which has become very popular. Suddenly, his phone rings. Sang-yob gets up to take the call outside. So-hee opens her laptop. wanting to read Sang Yob's novel. But she finds a video file of the moment Sang Yob was dragged into the secret passage. It seems the female ghost was not destroyed, but has possessed Sang Yob's body. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Goodbye and see you next time.